Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Groover. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. I am your co-host, Kathy Groover.
And I'm Jason Mefford. And today, woo! Here we go. We got to get started with the good little chair dancing.
Chair dancing?
Toon, 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 toon. Get the energy level up. Then we can talk about what we're really going to talk about today, which is hypnosis. Okay? Now, yeah, as Kathy falls asleep, right?
What?
Yeah, okay.
I feel great.
You feel great? You ready to go?
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about hypnosis because, we had Victoria on several episodes ago. She's a hypnotherapist. You know some stuff about hypnotherapy as well. And I've actually been, you know a lot.
You know I'm a hypnotherapist, right?
I know that.
I don't just kind of know stuff. Like, I do it.
You do it. You do this.
I do this.
And so both of you, both you and Victoria actually know it because you do it, right?
Right, thank you.
I am experimenting with it, right?
Oh, nice.
And so I thought it would be helpful for people to kind of understand what it is and the benefits that it can have, that it's not something scary. Because, I remember as a little kid growing up, and you go to the county fair and there would be some guy that would be up there hypnotizing people. And it was like this circus freak show, right? Because you get this whole line of people up there and you put them into hypnosis and then you make them do funny, silly things. And while that's entertaining, there actually really is science and a reason for doing it. And from what I've been experiencing the last couple of months, as I've actually been trying to do this every day, is it really does unlock your potential. Because we talk a lot about the mind and unlocking potential. And the interesting thing is, because I've been studying psychology in the mind for over 20 years. Okay. And we use relatively a very, very small part of our brain in what we do, right? Consciously at least, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have like 99%, I can't remember where the number is, of our brain that we're not consciously using. And when we can tap into that subconscious, amazing things can happen, right? And so that's why I wanted to kind of talk a little bit and share and be a little bit personal about kind of my journey and have you talk about it from a practitioner side. As well, because I know sometimes, when we talk about meditation, a lot of people are like, no, right? And then when we talk about hypnotherapy, they're going to be like, no, even more, right? Like, I'm not going to be a circus freak, right? But that's totally not what it is. And so just kind of wanted to talk through that a little bit, my experience, explain what it is to people so they don't have to be afraid of it. And have it be one of those things that just give it a try, see if it works for you, because I've seen a lot of benefits in my life. So Kathy, maybe if you as a practitioner, maybe talk just a little bit about and help people understand what is hypnotherapy actually, and some of the benefits or things, how it actually does work.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I'm glad you brought up the whole stage hypnosis thing, because that is a thing. It's entertaining. Those people are hypnotized. That is one thing hypnotists do. I'm not a huge fan of stage hypnosis because that tends to really kind of bastardize what the craft is. Right. People see that and they think that's all it is. Or they go to see a movie like Get Out, and they think they're going to drop into the floor and they're going to be taken over, or they're going to be, urged to do things that they, are against their morals. One, excuse me, you're not asleep, because I've brought people out of session and they look at me and they go, I don't think it worked.
Yeah, I know.
And I said, why? Well, I could hear you. And I say,
Exactly. That's the point.
I didn't drug you. I didn't knock you out. You're not going to be asleep. So even though we use the word sleep, you're not actually asleep. You're just in a deep state of relaxation. You are not going to do anything you wouldn't do wide awake. You're not going to give me your PIN number. You're not going to run through the streets naked. You're not going to go assassinate anybody. You're not going to go, unless you would do that out of hypnosis,
normally,
frankly.
Anyway.
You know, so when they do stage shows, they pick people who are really suggestible, really susceptible to these suggestions, and who are open and willing and want to have fun. So that's how those are selected. They typically either ask for volunteers or they select people after really specific exercises. So if you don't want to go up, you don't have to. But in a clinical setting, I mean, I have been doing hypnosis pretty much my entire life. I've studied it and practiced it as a profession about 5 or 6 years. And I've done smoking cessation, and I haven't done weight loss, not my thing, but I've done sports performance. I've done test enhancement for kids. It is unlocking that potential aspect of it. Fears, phobias, public speaking, fear of flying, fear of small spaces, anxiety, pre and post-op. There's all this really incredible stuff that you can do with hypnosis. And it is not you clucking like a chicken. That's everybody's, you hear a bell and you're clucking like a chicken. You're not going to get trapped in hypnosis. That's the other thing. What was the movie with, I have that thing where you can't remember names. Anyway, he's in the middle of Office Space, frankly. I mean, he gets locked, the hypnotherapist drops over and he gets stuck in the hypnosis. That can't happen. You would just bring yourself out. So yeah, suggestions are really powerful, and that gets into our subconscious, because 88% of things that we're dealing with are coming from that subconscious, unconscious mind. Only 12% of our decisions are conscious. So who's going to win? This is why people say they want to do something and there's that block. They want to quit smoking. They cognitively know they want to quit smoking, but they can't. There's some subconscious thing that is tying them to that habit. I had a client, actually she wasn't a client, I met her at a retreat I just did with Eckhart Tolle, and she was talking about how terrified she is because at one point someone had broken into her house while she was there and assaulted and robbed her. So she was scared. And I said, of course you are. I said, that makes logical sense. She goes, yeah, but it's been years and I don't want to feel that way anymore. And I said, well, I would actually suggest hypnosis. And she goes, no, I don't want to do it unconsciously. And I said,
there's a difference between subconscious and unconscious though, right? Yeah.
Right. Well, but I also said, can you talk yourself out of this fear? Well, no. I said, okay, well then what's your next choice? I mean, you can sit in therapy and you can talk about it till you're blue in the face, or you can actually get into that subconscious mind and change those knowns and those unknowns. And she was like, I'm terrified. I don't want to lose control. And she went through the list of reasons she didn't want to be hypnotized. But it was interesting. It's like, if you can't do this thing consciously, then let's tap into that subconscious and make those changes there so that you can be more productive. You can have less fear. You can have more productivity. Hypnosis is amazing for that. And yes, we can all be hypnotized. We walk around in a state of hypnosis often anyway.
And don't even realize it.
Yeah, if you've ever been driving on the freeway and you suddenly go, crap, where the hell did I pass my exit? You hypnotized yourself. Or if you're reading a book, I've done this, where you're reading, and you turn the page, reading, and you're like, the hell did I just read? And you have to go back and read it again. Your eyes were moving, but you actually were not there. You hypnotized yourself. You became basically unconscious to what's going on. You weren't present in that moment. You were floating off somewhere else. So it's a natural state. It feels good to us. Hypnosis feels so good. I have clients who come out of their session, they're like, I just want to come back every day and do this. All right.
Well, because it's more like daydreaming, right? I mean, we're in a state of subconscious at that point. And so, like you said, I mean, we end up hypnotizing ourselves without realizing it all the time. Right. I mean, your mind is thinking about something else. You're processing, like you said, the driving. You look up and you're like, where the hell am I? Or you're pulling into your garage and you're like, I didn't even remember coming home.
Or you show up to your office on a Saturday and you're like, I don't even work today. I've done that. I'm like, where the hell am I going?
Well, and I think it's funny, you put the numbers out there. 88% is subconscious, 12% is conscious. And so again, even just from a scientific perspective, right? And I think we've talked about this before, but the prefrontal cortex only works at like 40 bits a second, but the back and the amygdala works at like 11 million bits per second, right? And so your subconscious is doing a lot of work that you are consciously not aware of. And so for me, I was kind of like that lady that you were talking about at first, right? So, because I want to try to explain a little bit about what I've gone through, because I don't like to lose control, right? I like to have fun. But I like to kind of be in control, right? And I'd seen those circus, stage shows before, and I didn't want to be one of those people, right? But finally, I got to the point and I said, you know what, screw it. Let me just try it. and actually see if it works. I know, right? What we've been telling people, right? Just screw it and do it, right? Instead of just sitting there thinking about it, just try it.
Take the leap.
See if it works for you, right?
Yeah.
You know, because I've got to say, you know, as I've tried to go through, and again, you can do it in a live clinical way, like what you do typically with your clients, but there's also recordings that you can listen to as well, right? There's lots of different recordings that are out there. So it's not about you know, because like you said too, you know, some of your clients saying, well, it didn't work because I didn't go to sleep. I've experienced that too, right? You know, because it's, again, you're not asleep. And so you're just in a state of relaxation, but it allows, you know, your consciousness to kind of shut off a little bit, so that those suggestions or other things can actually go into your subconscious and allow it to actually happen. And so just to, you know, put people's fear at bay of what it feels like, I don't know if this is typical for everybody, but I'll kind of explain what I've gone through, or what I experience if you go into one of these things. And it doesn't always happen the first time. It takes, you know, time to kind of get yourself ready to it. But, you know, I remember one time, because I was doing one on sleep. And so, you know, they were talking through and said, okay, you know, close your eyes, and you go through the breathing and you just start feeling relaxed. And then she said, try to open your eyes now, but you can't. And so I tried to open my eyes, and I couldn't open my eyes.
The harder you try, the more stuck they are, and the more stuck they are, the harder you try, and the more you try, the more relaxed you get. And yeah.
And so all of a sudden I'm like, holy crap, I can't open my eyes, you know. But so I'm sitting here consciously thinking this.
Sure.
And then a little bit later she says, now open your eyes. And it was like, ding, right? My eyes totally open. And it's like, okay, this is kind of weird, but it was showing me that I was actually going into that trance-like state. And so even though it didn't feel like I was asleep, I was still in that trance, because you're not supposed to be asleep. If you're asleep, it doesn't work.
Yep.
So was that kind of typical of what, you know, other people?
Yeah, well, sure. We use that as a prover, because that one says to the client, oh my God, this is actually working, because that's a very blatant thing. Or, you know, we'll do the hand to the face, and, you know, what do we say? Is the face drawing to the hand, or is the hand drawing to the face? And you find that without even thinking about it, of course I'm doing this because I'm not hypnotized, but it's like you start to, and then as it gets closer and closer, it touches and you're down, and then you realize it's stuck and you can't get your hand off your face, you know, and then until we have them do that. So that's a prover. That's also a deepener. So, you know, like we'll lift up the hand and drop it, and every time it hits, you go deeper. You know, there's ways we do an induction, which is that first thing we do to get you into the state of hypnosis. And then we do what's called deepeners, which might be walking down a staircase or doing a progressive muscle relaxation, or an eye fascination. And it's funny because people say, oh, do you swing something in front of my eyes? And I say, I can. It's called an eye fascination. So what I really like to do is I'll have them look at as I pull the things out of my ears. This is why I go with the other one. You know, and you close your eyes, and you close your eyes. And the more you open and close, it's like the snooze button. Isn't it funny when you hit the snooze alarm in the morning, you sleep so deep for that 7 minutes, and then you're like, and then you hit snooze again and you go deeper. I mean, that's actually what hypnosis does. So when we bring people in and out, that's fractionization. When we bring people out and then put them back down, and bring people out and put them back down, you actually go deeper and deeper each time. So depending on what you want to accomplish, you use different depths. I tend to keep people at a pretty light to medium state. If I'm doing something really like past life regression, or the journeys that I do, because I do mythic and archetypal journeys, which are so fabulous, a 3-hour session. And I have had people walk out there going, I know exactly what my life's about. Like, it explains their entire life to them, which is so awesome. Then I want to go a little bit deeper because they're talking to me. So I will actually ask questions and have them answer me. And every time they answer, you kind of come up a little bit. And if somebody says, oh, I think I'm in Spain. Nope, you're not deep enough, you know. So yeah, there's ways that we tell. It was funny. I was in a stage hypnosis class because I thought, I want to learn the rapid inductions. I don't want to do stage hypnosis, but I should know how. It's fun. Right. So I was studying with this guy named Ken, who was just freaking unbelievable. And one of the students goes, well, how do you know when people are hypnotized? Like, how can you tell? if, like in class, because he kept saying everyone was drifting into hypnosis, which we do when we're listening to someone talk. You can see people kind of going,
We start kind of spacing out a little bit.
because they're hypnotized. I see that when I'm doing speaking. And he said, come up here on stage. And so he brought her up on stage, and he turned on his hypnosis voice, and he started talking very rhythmically. And I think he tapped his pen a little bit, and you could see everybody in this class just kind of going,
Because he was doing it to everybody, not
because
just her.
he wanted to show her what it looked like. Well, I thought there has to be contrast. If everybody looks exactly the same, that still doesn't tell her what it looks like, because then we're all doing. So I specifically didn't let myself go. So I'm looking around and I'm looking at the teacher, and I'm just, I'm not letting myself go in, and he's looking at me like, ugh. And then finally he goes, okay, look at everybody but Kathy. They're all hypnotized. Everyone kind of went, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then he looks at me and he goes, thank you, because I wanted to show that contrast of what it looks like when people go into hypnosis. And I've accidentally hypnotized people at the coffee bean and tea leaf, at my dance class, at my,
Hopefully it wasn't the baristas. They were making your coffee. Right?
Yeah, no, it was the manager. She's like, well, how does hypnosis work? And I started to explain to her, and I could see her going,
Yeah, she starts drifting.
and her eyes got a little glassy, and the face changes, and it flushes a little bit. And everybody looks a little bit different when they're in hypnosis, but I can tell when people are going in, and I can tell how deep they are and how they're responding. But back to the sleeping thing. Sorry, I can talk about hypnosis all day. We don't want people to fall asleep.
Right.
And I have had clients who I'm like, they're a little too deep, they're out. And so you say their name. Jason, I want you to, and that brings them back up enough. They don't jerk open, but they come up enough that they're now in the hypnosis state and not in the sleep state. So we want to keep them in that nice, comfortable middle ground so that they can know what's happening that we want them to hear. Some hypnotherapists do something called the Esdale state, which I'm not even sure I understand what that is, but that's like passed out, unconscious, like really deep state. They claim that stuff works better in there. I've seen the lighter state work just as well. And those recordings that you're talking about, those are awesome. The self-hypnosis stuff, fabulous. I love those. Those are great.
Because they're an easy resource that people can actually use, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to go into an office. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more benefit in doing like a 3-hour session live.
Whoa.
But if you can't do that, there's lots of resources out there that are, the ones that I've seen are usually 20 to 40 minutes, or usually around kind of 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because and let me just explain kind of the process that I've gone through, or how you kind of feel, just if somebody's thinking about it and they're like a little bit freaked out, just to explain kind of what I've gone through, so that give it a try, and you may feel a little bit different, but kind of see what it is. And then let's spend, the last few minutes talking about really, some of the benefits and why people should use this, or consider using this as a technique. So what I've experienced is usually, again, like in a 30-minute segment, right? You spend the first, I don't even know how much time, right? Because you're just sitting there and time kind of goes away as you're doing it. So you have no idea. But again, because I'm analytical, the first few times I listen to any of these, I'm trying to, listen to the words they're saying and how they're doing it and how many times they're repeating it, because I'm trying to understand how it works. That's so just funny. The nerd in me, right? Okay.
I get it.
You get it, right? Okay.
It's hilarious, though. I'm analyzing the hypnosis stuff.
I'm analyzing the hypnosis to try to understand it, and then I can relax after I go through it the first couple times. But, usually it's maybe like the first 10-ish minutes, I'm guessing. It's just about you breathing and just relaxing and maybe thinking about a few things, but you're just trying to relax. And the more that I've done it, it's not, you're not falling asleep, but you do, at least for me, my body does feel heavy, and it feels like you're sinking down a little bit, but not like you're going through the floor in that movie, right? But you're just there, and sometimes it almost, to me, feels like I'm kind of lifted up on top of my body a little bit. So there's a little bit of out of body, which, again, it's because we're observing kind of what's going on, sort of a feel, but you just feel relaxed, and then, go through, the suggestions that you're being given, depending on what the topic happens to be, right?
Yep.
If it's about stopping smoking, then there's going to be some things in there about, again, helping to put into your subconscious those suggestions that will help you to stop smoking, or, financial abundance, or, stress relief, or whatever it happens to be. And you go through that and experience that in your subconscious. And then you're kind of brought back out, right? So usually at the end, there's some sort of thing, it's not going to be your name because they're not talking to you, but,
right.
It's usually about breathing deep and, thinking about the room that you're in. And then all of a sudden you're back. Right. Yeah. And time has kind of been suspended because you're in one of those time-space continuums, and we don't have enough time to talk about that today. We'll talk about that at another time and keep going again. But what I've noticed is the more that I've done it, the more those things that I've been practicing have been coming out, or I've been seeing it, and I've been getting more of the inspiration or intuition of things I should do, or, I'm feeling better. I'm having more positive thoughts. I'm doing, these things without necessarily focusing or trying to force those things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are some of the benefits that I've seen. And so again, maybe let's talk here as we kind of wrap this up. I mean, there's lots of mindfulness practices that you can do, like meditation, but maybe let's explain, the benefits of hypnotherapy, how people could incorporate that in, or how that might look, for them, and some of the benefits that they can get from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And because you explained how these recordings work, when you're in my office, we normally talk for anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. And then we go into the hypnosis. So the hypnosis itself is the last 10 to 20 minutes of the session.
Okay.
So there's times where people are in my office and we're talking, and they finally go, we should probably stop talking and get to the hypnosis. I'm like, well, but we're getting there, and you're kind of already hypnotized. So, you're already kind of starting to go. And that pre-talk is where I determine what techniques I'm going to use, what they actually want to work on. Because I've had people come with a list of things that they want to work on. Stress is one of the best things. Anxiety, sleep. Oh man, the sleep thing and the hypnosis is phenomenal, because what we do is we set these things called anchors, where it's either a finger or a word. Like every time you think the word peace, that relaxed feeling of relaxation comes back. So we anchor that in the body, or we anchor that with a word. And this is where I really like doing the customized stuff and the in-office things is, if you're uncomfortable breathing, because I've had some clients who can't concentrate on their breath, it puts them into an anxiety attack. So when I say, all right, concentrate on your inhale and exhale, I can't use that with them. So if they grab a recording that does that to them, that's going to freak them out even more. So this is why I like the customization stuff. I mean, the recordings are really awesome, and you can do a lot of different things. But the customization being in the office is great. So performance, speaking performance, fears, phobias, things that are holding you back, those blocks. Hypnosis is actually good for relationships and strengthening those relationships and that communication. So I have used hypnosis for so many different things with so many different clients. It's fun too. It feels good. It's, like I said, a natural state for us. So it gets past that critical mind straight into our subconscious, so we can make those changes that we consciously might not be able to make, like enhancing your potential and moving forward in sports performance and job performance, and all of those things that we're all working on, that we want to use, those tools that help us move forward in our careers, in our lives, and those things that we want to accomplish. Why not work on a deeper level? Yeah, which is that subconscious, to get rid of those blocks.
Well, because that's what I've thought about, and that's why I kind of jumped into it, because I've been doing meditation, for a little while, but I wanted to go into something that was like meditation on steroids, was kind of the way I was explaining it. And so have started to try to, incorporate, at least for me right now, as I'm getting started and trying to get some of those subconscious things gone or replaced, right? Because again, I think, it's like the lady that was in fear of being attacked in her home, that there's things in our mind that are holding us back, and we don't know what those are because they're in our subconscious.
Yeah.
And so, we can't understand. We're sitting there, and I've even done this myself. Sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, why the fuck can't I do whatever? I'm just like, immobilized here, or I just can't get myself to do this. Why is that? Well, it's because there's something in my subconscious that's holding me back. So consciously, I can't understand that,
Right.
and I can't process that. And so, that's why my thought was, well, screw it. Instead of trying to consciously fix a subconscious problem, why don't you use a subconscious method to get rid of the subconscious problem?
Right.
And so again, that's why for me, like I said, hypnotherapy has been good that way. Mm-hmm. And that's why I kind of wanted to share some of that with people, because it's a very effective method.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that like you just brought up though, is, especially if you're going to do some pre-recorded stuff, everything's not going to work for you. Right. I mean, I've done that where I've tried different things, and some people's voice just kind of doesn't work for me. Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, you tried it once, go try something else until you find somebody, or some technique that's going to work for you.
I have a funny story. So we normally take people down a staircase, and I do a staircase with 20 steps. And I was at a hypnotherapy conference, and the guy was putting us all under, and he's like, okay, and you're standing at the top of the staircase, and let's go down on 20 and 19.
Oh, and he just stopped and paused like that.
And I'm thinking, I'm down the fucking staircase. Like, let's speed up.
Man. You do so.
My God. I'm not missing limbs. Like, why are you going so slow? It was driving me crazy. I mean, like, I literally opened my eyes and was like,
yeah. So that didn't work for you, right? No. But it might work for other people.
No.
And so that's the thing is, you've got to try this out a little bit too. And so, you might go through 5 or 6 different people's voices or different things that you're doing, and it may not work for you. That's okay. Just try it until you find something that actually works. Because when you do, it can have those huge benefits that we've been talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't walk that slowly down the stairs.
No. No.
I know I'm impatient, but it was bad.
It was slow. It was very slow. I know people that are listening to the recording, when you started counting 20, they're like, what happened? Did we lose connection? Whoa, what? Hey, oh.
Yeah, because nothing plays better than dead silence on a podcast or a radio show.
Exactly. Right.
All right. And with that, all right, everybody, go forth. Unlock your potential. Try new techniques. Try hypnosis, either the self-hypnosis that you're doing with the video, with the recordings you're listening to, or find a hypnotherapist in your town, or I do them virtually. I mean, we can sit here like this and I could hypnotize somebody. So, find what works for you, but experiment with that. Don't be afraid. You're not going to lose control. You're not going to run through the streets like a madman. It's just another way to unlock that potential. Just another way to up your game, and in a way that's feels good, and it's fun, and it's really gentle, and it's effective. So I definitely recommend it.
It's effective and it's easy, because all you have to do is sit there and relax and listen.
Yeah.
Right. And so, again, it's sometimes when with things like this in potential that we're talking about, sometimes the answers are so simple that we think, oh no, that can't work. Right. Well, I'm here to tell you, it does actually work. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these simple things that we're talking about, they do work. The solution is not as hard as what we often think. Yeah. So go out there, try it, jump in, screw it, just do it, kind of a thing, and see if it works for you. Find something that does work, because when you do, it will unlock that potential, and you'll feel so much better.
And that's what we want for you. That's what we want for everybody that's listening and watching, is we want you to achieve those goals. We want you to skyrocket yourself to that success, that prosperity, that abundance, that fame, whatever it is that you want. We want that for you. This is why we're doing this. It's not for us, that we enjoy it. We're doing this for everybody else. So go try it.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. Cool.
So go out and do it.
Do it.
Have a great rest of your day.
I'm Kathy Groover, and I can be reached at kathygroover.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you on another episode.